Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. We have been looking at some of the great women of India. Someone was asking the other day, how long is the list of the names of such great women? I float the same question to you now. Can we make a list? And how long would that list be? Friends, all of us are aware that it would be a never-ending list. The list will not see completion. We have so many of them. We know the names of some of them. Some of their names are very, very popular. However, we may not even know the names of some of these great women. Yet another question that people were asking about the great women is this: were all these women respected? Were all these women given due credits? Were there only a handful, or were there many of them? We would have to understand a particular thing here. Whenever we quote or whenever we cite examples, we should remember that we are citing only examples. When we say examples, it goes without saying that there would be many of them, but for convenience sake, we are just looking at one or two of them and trying to keep them as role models. Education, independence, freedom to think, freedom to act were all accorded to women of India. And these women have stood up, risen up to the anticipation and have stood firm on their ground. Whenever women were not given due credit or respect, there had been some kind of misgivings in the society. I'm reminded of a Smriti Vakya. This Vakya is also quoted in the Mahabharata. And what does this Vakya say? It states as follows: Yatra nānyastu pujyante ramante sarva devataha. Wherever women were respected, nāryastu pujyante, wherever women were respected, were given credit, were kept at an altar, in those places, the Devas and the Devatas were pleased. Ramante Sarva Devataha. The Devas, the gods, the demigods, and all good things that go along with, were all pleased only when women were respected. Okay, if women were not respected, what happened? Many of us tend to think if the gods are displeased, there could be some kind of a problem. Yes. What will happen if the gods were displeased? And what really happened if the women were not respected? The Smriti Vakya goes on to say, wherever they were not respected, wherever Sarvastat astu na ujyante. What happens, you know? Sarvakarya apalaha. Whatever you do, whatever action was done, that action did not reap any good benefit. Which means, if women were not respected, not only did the gods get displeased, it was also that any action done for the sake of mankind was not able to fetch benefit at all. A country, a land where such a Smritivakya exists, we can imagine, would have definitely given respect to all women. It is very unfortunate that due to various factors spanning through multiple disciplines, social factors, economic factors, political factors, so many factors have led to the deterioration in the status of women from what it was during those times to what it was very recently. That does not mean that we should not rectify, and in fact it is our bounden duty to rectify the level and take back the status to what it was in the Vedic times. We find many examples in women who had access to education, who performed yajnas and sacrifices for the sake of the benefit of the society. In fact, one single word can give us a complete picture of how a typical Indian woman was expected to be. And that word is compassion. Compassion towards others, compassion to fellow beings, and of course, compassion to the environment, to the animate and inanimate objects around. We find such women who were compassionate towards everything. Similarly, women were also educated. Someone asked me the other day from among this forum as to what kind of proof do we have that women were educated. Maybe one or two of them were educated, but not all of them. I would not want to give examples here. I would not want to give names of women who had access to education, but then I would want to quote and show a particular scene from the Shastras. All of us know when a child is born, after some days, after the purificatory rites, the child is given a name. We call it Namakarana. Right, now what happens? The Shastras very clearly define step by step as to what procedure should be followed during this Namakarana ceremony. Let's see some of these steps. These steps are whatever purificatory rites will have to be performed. They would have to be performed by the parents, fine, that is done. And then the next step is where, how should the name be chosen? The name to indicate the lineage of the child, the name to indicate who the great-grandparents or who the grandparents were, and such things, indicating the lineage and the dignity of the lineage. Fine, that is also done. And then there is also some kind of a step to show that a girl's name should have this many syllables and a boy's name should have this many syllables, which is also understandable. The distinction between the two kinds of names, when it is a short name or when it is a long name, what kind of differentiation would it have? That is also understandable. Now comes the important step when the parents are told to pick 2 names for every child. 2 names. Why 2 names? The Shastras say, you first pick up a name for the child, which name will be a Samvyavaharika Nama, meaning it would be used by everybody. You name your child something. You call her Janaki, you call her Sita, or you call her Rama, you call her Bharata. Now everybody would be calling by this name. This is a Vyavaharika Nama or a Sama Vyavaharika Nama when everybody can use. And then the parents are also supposed to pick up one more name. And the Shastras say, pick up this name. Only the parents should know about this name now, no one else. The father and the mother would know the name, and at the time of Upanayana, this name should be revealed to the preceptor or the guru who would be performing the Upanayana rites, and at that time during Brahmovadesam, you would give this name to the child. And this name is called Abhivadanya Nama. People who have undergone the Upanayana ceremony will have to perform, when they perform a namaskaram to elders, they say Abhivadaye and reveal as to which lineage they come from and the names and so on. So this particular name, the Sharmanaha, which some people refer to, this Sharmanaha Nama is the Abhivadanya Nama, and this Nama should be known only to the parents at the time of christening the child. Keep it only to themselves until the time of Upanayana, and then reveal it to the Guru, and from the Guru it will go to the child or the individual through Brahmovadesam. Now what does this mean? This was common to every child, be it a boy child or a girl child, which means every girl had the right to education. Every girl had the right to the Upanayana ceremony and being left in the care of the Guru and the Guru Patni. So this is indication. We may not ask here as to how many people went through this. Everyone went through this. So this was the status. This was the way girl children were educated during those times. And we do find extensions of this information in very many of our Puranas and Itihasas. Let's take the Itihasa that we all are very, very familiar with, the Ramayana. In the Ramayana, we do find lots of instances where the women characters of Ramayana had the rights to perform sacrifices, pujas, and their daily niyama. In the Valmiki Ramayana, we find Hanuman searching for Sita. Of course, Hanuman searching for Sita is there in every Ramayana. But why do I refer to Valmiki Ramayana is that I am kind of curious to show you a particular instance. Hanuman goes around all places trying to locate where Sita would be. And in one particular instance, Adikavi Valmiki says, Hanuman, at the time of dusk, close to dusk, not finding Sita anywhere that day, close to dusk, he went and stood near a river. Why did he do so? You know what thought crossed his mind at that time? He thinks to himself, now it is time nearing the dusk. This is Sandhya Kala. So let me go near a water body. Let me see if there is a water body anywhere here, because Sita, who never faltered from performing her Sandhya rites, would approach a water body to do her Sandhya Vandana. Now, of course, Hanuman was not able to find her near that particular water body is a different issue. But then, the message that we get here is that even Sita was performing her Sandhya Vandanam every day, meaning that she had access to education, and after having gone through the initiation, she kept up the discipline of performing her duties. In the same Ramayana, we find Rajamata Kausalya offering sacrifices. When her son is to be made a prince regent, she would perform several sacrifices and she would offer so many things, so many gifts, be in charity to the people around her in all her joy and happiness. This instance only indicates that women had the liberty, they had the independence, they had the freedom to give away things, to help people, and to perform good things for the society. Now, let us go into Ramayana a little more further. Of course, we have already seen some of the women characters of Ramayana. We have had a glimpse of Sumitra. I suppose all of you remember how Sumitra was gracious and generous. Now, we try to look at Kausalya. Of the three Patnis of King Dasharatha, Kausalya is supposed to have been the most ordinary. In fact, several Ramayanas tell us that Kaikeyi belonged to a kingly clan. Sumitra was from an ordinary family, and Kausalya was also from an ordinary family. We are not very sure as to why the kingdom was called Kosala. We all know King Dasharatha ruled over the Kosala kingdom, and there are also some kind of information that Kausalya was a princess from the kingdom of Kosala. We are not very sure. But all that we know from the reading of Ramayana is that Kausalya was basically a very ordinary woman, given to normal emotions. She was very kindly to everyone. She treated all the 4 children equally, and she was a very obedient Patni. Now, this kind of a Kausalya we encounter. And we are very happy to know about her, to see her kindliness, to see her compassion. But then, the ordinary Kausalya gets transformed into a very different Kausalya when she hears about the order or command that her son would have to go on exile. She is awaiting. The sequence is like this. Rama is to be made the Yuvaraja or the Raja. Depends. In certain versions of Ramayana, Rama was to be made the Yuvaraja, but then in certain other versions, he was to be made the king himself. The smaller thing does not make a much difference. She was waiting for her son to come back from the coronation, and then she saw him coming without being, made the Yuvaraja or the king. He's just walking there as ordinary as possible. She is a little perturbed. She does not know why did the coronation not take place that morning. She is waiting in her Antapura. The son comes back and tells her, Amma, the coronation did not happen. Now I will take this sequence to the Kambaramayan. The Kambaramayan is the Tamil version of Ramayana, authored by Kavi Chakravarti Kambar. And that's why it's called the Kambaramayan. Now the mother is awaiting the arrival of the son comes, he is all alone. What is the importance of being all alone? If only he was coronated that morning, he would have had a big paraphernalia of people around him. Now that he is coming alone indicates that the coronation had not happened. And there is no crown on him. He doesn't have all those ornaments and all those jewelry that go along with the coronation. No regal attire. He's there as an ordinary prince. And the mother looks at him and asks, she's least perturbed. She's just asking him, did the coronation not take place? It is only a matter of curiosity that the coronation event had not occurred that she's asking. She is not even worried that her son is not made the Raja. And then at which point the son says, Amma, it is not me, but then my younger brother who would be crowned. To which she responds, oh, that is good. See the kind of a reaction. The son says, my younger brother, Bharata, would be crowned. And Kausalya immediately says, oh, that's lovely, that's very nice. And Bharata is 3 times better than you. 3 times better than you, Ninilum Nallan. He is much better than you. He is a good boy. See the kind of affection she had to Bharata and not to her biological son. She was not favored to her biological son. And what open-mindedness in accepting that Bharata could be the king. And then she goes further to say something more. That is where Kausalya, transforms into a giant colossus. She says, Rama, when Bharata becomes the king, you should help him. You should do all things for him so that he would be a good king. Again, what kind of generosity to say that? Rama is the eldest, and she did not make a single query, Rama, you're the eldest, you should have been crowned. No, she did not say that at all. Instead, she pitched in and said, please help Bharata when he becomes the king, because at that point of time she knows Bharata was not in Kosala, he was not in Ayodhya, he had gone to the country of his maternal grandfather, and we would have to wait for him to arrive to become the king. It is only after this that Rama reveals, Amma, I will not be in a position to help Bharata because by command I would have to go to the forest. Now the same Kausalya, of course, she cries when she knows that her son would have to go to the forest, not because he would have to go to the forest, but because what mistake did he make to go to the forest? And the scenes go past. We all know the story of Ramayana. Rama leaves for the forest. Of course, Kausalya is grief-struck, but she tries to remain composed. And after some time, when Bharata comes back, Bharata and Shatrughna come back, and after they come back, and after the last rites to King Dasharatha are performed, Bharata decides that he will go to the forest to fetch Rama back. At which point of time, everyone starts. All of them start. The entire city of Ayodhya, all the people of Ayodhya go along with Bharata and Shatrughna. Even the preceptor goes along with them. They all go. Now shift your attention to the banks of river Ganga. It is only on these banks that Rama meets with Guha. And we all know Guha was the one who kind of ferried Rama, Lakshmana and Sita across Ganga to reach the southern banks of Ganga. I would like you to now go and stand on the northern banks of Ganga. Let us imagine, let us visualize what happened there. Ganga. Let's say that is the southern bank of Ganga and this is the northern bank of Ganga. Guha, who had taken these three people by a boat, Rama, Sita and Lakshmana by a boat, had dropped them on the southern bank of Ganga and had come back because his area, his land of jurisdiction is on the northern bank of Ganga, which is the Sringivera territory. So he has come back. On his arrival on the northern bank, he is able to see that there is a big crowd coming, and then slowly he is able to understand it is Bharata, Shatrughna, the preceptor, the three Rajamatas, and of course everybody from Ayodhya who have come with an intention of going wherever Rama is and trying to take back Rama to Ayodhya. And it is almost evening time. So Guha makes them all stay there on the northern banks of Ganga and then narrates to them as to what happened, how he took the three people and left them on the southern banks in the Chitrakuta, and then asked the rest of the crowd to rest there so that the next morning they can all go to Chitrakuta. Now the next morning dawns, and then Guha would make thousands of boats come there because he is only the king of the boatsmen. So he would get all the boats there. And in these boats, men, women and children are all transported to Chitrakuta area. And in the last boat, because there is a moral responsibility for Bharata and Shatrughna to see to that everybody is safe. So everybody is transported to safety to the southern banks, at which time in the last boat, Bharata and Shatrughna would get in. The three Rajamatas are also there with them. So the three Rajamatas get into that boat and Guha is the oarsman. So in that boat, how many are there? There are 3 women and 3 men, right? The oarsman Guha, Bharata, Shatrughna, Kausalya, Kaikeyi and Sumitra. Now once the boat starts moving, Guha would turn to Bharata and ask him, I met you yesterday, I know you, I've got to know who you are and things like that. I have become friendly with your brother. I can understand that these three women are the three Rajamatas. Because everybody knows King Dasharatha had three wives. So these are the three Rajamatas and they are dressed alike, in their kind of attire, which is both regal and also revealing that they are widows now. That is all fine, but then I do not know who is who. So would you please tell me, introduce these women to me? At which time Bharata starts telling who is Kaushalya, who is Sumitra, who is Kaikeyi. Fine? I will change the order a little here. First, he waves at Sumitra and says, this is Mataji Sumitra, the Mataji of that boy who's going along with Rama. He has that fortune, which I did not have. I would have wanted to go with Rama, but then I did not have the fortune to go with him, but then Lakshmana has. And she is the Mataji of Lakshmana. Guha prostrates. And next, Kaikeyi. Bharata says, this is, you know who this is? Look at her face. Bharata is already annoyed. Look at her face. There's nothing on her face. She's just standing like one stone. She has no emotions. And I am the most misfortunate to have been born out of her. So this introduction reveals that it is Kaikeyi and Bharata is irritated with Kaikeyi for what she had done. And then there stands Kaushalya. And then Bharata says, this is Mother Kaushalya, Mataji of Rama. The moment Bharata said she is the Mataji of Rama, Guha would immediately fall at her feet. Even to the other two women, he did perform his namaskarams, but now he is completely fallen. He falls at the feet of Kaushalya and then starts crying. He could not be controlled. He could not be coaxed. He could not be consoled. Crying like that. Looking at Guha cry, Bharata starts weeping and Shatrughna immediately follows. Now imagine three men in that boat and all the three men crying. Three women. Sumitra, the all-knowing, compassionate Sumitra, she was sad but did not cry. Kaikeyi, she was also standing there and did not cry. But it was Kaushalya. She also did not cry. What do you normally expect? You expect a woman like Kaushalya, a normal emotional woman like Kaushalya to cry? No, she did not cry. You know what she did? She just picked up Guha. Guha was at her feet, right? She just picked up Guha and said, don't cry, my son. Don't cry, my son. It is all because that Rama came to the forest that we have a good person like Guha as our relative. See the statement. She told Bharata and Shatrughna, it is all because that Rama came to the forest. All because that Rama was banished to the forest that we are able to get a good person like Guha as our relative. The way she looked at it. Instead of saying, my son has been sent away to the forest, she took the positive side of it and said it is all because he came to the forest that we've gotten here. And she did not stop with that. She said one more thing. She said, don't worry, don't cry, my sons, none of you cry. We're now going to get Rama. When Rama comes back, there is a hope that Rama would come back. With that hope only, all of them are going to Chitrakuta. So she says, when Rama comes back, all 5 of you join together and rule the kingdom. ஐவீரும் ஒருவீராய் அயன் உலகை அழித்து காப்பீர். ஐவீரும் ஒருவீராய். She was not an ordinary, average individual. What would any other mother have said that? Imagine any of us, either me or you, if we had been there, what would we have said? It was all because there were 4 sons, all this problem cropped up. If there was only 1 son, there would not have been a problem at all. And now 1 more fellow. Already with 4 there is problem. 1 more fellow joining, with 5 there will be more problem. That's what we think, isn't it? But then here was the lady who said, all 5 of you join together. And all 5 together rule the kingdom. And look at the compassion, the affection, the kindness, the greatness that Kaushalya had. Is this not a Vishwarupam of Kaushalya? We always think of the Vishwarupam of Lord Krishna, the Vishwarupam of the Lord, but here is the Vishwarupam of the mother, the Vishwarupam of her motherliness. We all know that Rama was very compassionate. And Ramayana many times is described as an epic of universal brotherhood. Meaning, Rama already had 3 brothers, 3 biological brothers, and whenever he went anywhere, whomsoever he came in contact with, he took them also into his fold and made them his own brothers. So when we start with Ramayana, we normally say there are 4 brothers, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrugna. But then at the end of the story, we have not only these 4, but then we have Guha joining up, we have Sugriva joining up, and even Vibhishna joining up. Again, I am reminded of a statement in Kambaramayan which says, when Rama embraces Vibhishna, he says, we were 4 to start with, but then we became 5 with Guha. Guganudan Aikarani, Kuntu Sulvan Mahanudan Arugarani. With Sugriva, we became 6, and with you, Yemurai Anpin Vanda Ahanavar Kadalaya Ninudan Eluvarani. And Rama boasts, it is because my father sent me to the forest. My father has 7 sons now. My father also becomes your father. And we say Rama was compassionate. Ramayana is an epic of universal brotherhood. But then think, what was the basis for this quality of Rama? It was what Kaushalya was. Kaushalya, that apparently ordinary lady, a lady who looked very normal to the external appearance, the kind of generosity, the kind of compassion, the kind of broad-mindedness that she had within. It was divinity within, not only divinity, but a kind of positive outlook. Today we talk in terms of positive outlook. We say somebody is positive if that someone is able to understand the positiveness inside difficulties, If someone is able to face difficulties, we say someone is positive. But then, here, at a time of difficulty, at a time when she had lost her husband, at a time when her son was away in the forest, at a time when she did not know if that son would come back to her, at a time when she did not know what her future was, she had that positive tendency to accept everyone into her fold and say, yes, all of you join together and that land can be ruled by all of you. Is Kaushalya not a primary example, a principal example of what the Indian great women had been? Friends, we have seen the great Kaushalya today. We should resume our study next week with some more greater personalities. Namaste and thank you.